A safe, solid table saw is the cornerstone to any efficient workshop or job site. Dewalt wants to close the gap on that cordless job site for us by introducing several new 60-volt cordless tools, including a brand new cordless table saw. We tested the Dewalt Cordless 8¼ 60-volt FlexVolt table saw on our job site, and we're impressed with its portability, its versatility, and obviously it's got great performance, but surprisingly a lot of power. This new table saw has all the features of its siblings, its corded siblings, except it's cordless, and you can read the full details in my article on toolboxbuzz.com. Power and portability, super impressed. It's a brushless motor, great cutting power, and it's 48 pounds. It's got a handle. It's easy to carry, either two-handed or one-handed. Dual power? No, not yet, unfortunately. According to Dewalt, the cost for an AC adapter corded accessory, similar to what the miter saw has, is pretty substantial. And the electrical current needs to be converted from 120 to 120 60 volt, unlike the miter saw, which runs at 120 volts, would be difficult. But Dewalt is working on it, and it's going to be a 60 volt adapter, and they said to keep an eye out for it in about 9 months. So look, this FlexVolt stuff, it's a brand new battery platform. It's 15-cell 60-volt batteries. They cost $150 a piece, these batteries. They're backwards compatible, meaning that you can use them in the FlexVolt tools or backwards in any 20-volt platform. You just can't use the 20-volt batteries in the FlexVolt tools. The saw has electrical protections that basically it protects the tool and the battery pack from overheating, overloading, and deep discharge. A lot of brushless lithium-ion tools have this now, and it will shut down if we overwork it, so just be careful of that. The fence system, I would be remiss if I didn't speak about how amazing the rack and pinion telescoping fence is. The design's amazing. In my opinion, it's the best telescoping fence in the market on any compact table saw out there, bar none. It can be mounted in 2 positions. Position 1 is closest to the blade. There's 2 pins on either side. That'll rip from 0 to 20 inches. Position 2, further to the right, will rip from 4 inches to 24 inches. And the fence extends wide enough so you can get a 24-inch rip to the right, 12-inch rip on the left side. There is a work support or a narrow ripping fence option. It's a sliding shelf on the fence, and when used to support features like wide boards, it keeps the board from tilting. And then when used for narrow rips, you flip it over and you go in a lower slot, and it actually provides about 2 inches of clearance between the blade and the fence, which is nice. It keeps your hands away a little bit. You still need a push stick, but it's nice. One of the features that Dewalt uses with their new saws is their SitePro modular guarding system, which allows you to change the blade guard and the riving knife without any tools free. The riving knife, I love. Absolutely love the riving knife. It absolutely mirrors the blade and does a real nice job at keeping the saw kerf from closing behind the blade when you're ripping, and a huge safety benefit. There's a power loss reset feature similar to the corded saws. Prior to deploying the power loss reset features on saws, I've heard all kinds of horror stories, and I've seen a few tools like grinders where the power went out, and when the power comes back on the tool, it just starts running. People get hurt that way. So this way, if the power is disconnected, either by removing the battery or maybe the battery drains, the saw will default to the off position. Smart move, Dewalt, and it's just where the trend is going. Super durable saw. It's got a metal roll cage around it, protects the saw, and has a convenient pivot handle on the side, heavy PVC, kind of ABS plastic. Onboard storage for the guard, fence, wrenches, miter gauge. It's all decent storage. It's underneath. It's pretty well protected and pretty easy to secure. There is a black heavy-duty shroud, if you look underneath the plate guard, that attaches to the motor and actually pivots and tilts with the motor, goes up and down. It's sized so that it's flexible enough to do that as you raise and lower a bevel. And the shroud captures and redirects sawdust, out toward the dust chute. Brilliant idea, so it doesn't just fall straight down. Cutting specifications: 5/8 inch arbor, 8 1/4 inch blade. It'll bevel from -2 degrees to 47 degrees left, and when set at 45 degrees, it'll cut at 1 3/4 inches. At 90, it will cut at 2.5 inches, which is acceptable, especially for a cordless table saw. It will not accept dado. So I know you're going to ask that question. Will it accept dados? No, unfortunately not. Dust collection. Dewalt table saws have always had that 2.5 inch port on the dust port on the rear, lower rear. And this one, like the other saws, has an 1.5 inch port off the top of the saw guard, which would allow you to do dual dust collection capabilities from above and below, which is great, except nobody can ever figure out how to rig it. Some people use 2 vacuums. You got to kind of come up with a Y connection. Well, Dewalt is actually working on a Y connection accessory, and hopefully we'll see it soon. As far as the stand, I didn't have a stand when I was testing it. The recommended stand is the DW7451, which will be coming out in mid to late September. Dewalt made a rolling change to the DW7450 Type 2 unit to accept this new saw. But be careful, if you're going to purchase that Type 2 stand, make sure it's the right one, because there's still some Type 1s out there in stock in stores, and you might, well, frankly, I would just wait and get the proper stand. It's coming out in September anyway. As far as improvements to the saw goes, the power switch, the electronic green power switch on button, is a little bit finicky. A quick press does not turn the saw on. You have to press and hold it. And sometimes you press and hold it and let go and it still doesn't turn on. It's almost like you got to press it with the pad of your finger and perfectly straight on, not at an angle, or I'm not quite sure, and I'm hoping that Dewalt will figure this out over time, or maybe it's just my particular saw that I tested. The price is to be expected for a cordless table saw. It's up there, and you know, I'm sure it's going to be a deterrent to some folks. The saw is a prime example of Dewalt's hard work and commitment to making tools cordless on our job site. And I gotta tell you, it's a fantastic saw. We've been using it now for a while on the job site. My foreman loves it. He won't give it back. It's got some really nice features, and it's powerful. You can't beat the power and the fence system on this saw. Please subscribe to this video, and guys, we'll see you next time at toolboxbuzz.com. Take care.